Welcome back to the Ratchet and Clank Marathon. Last time we took a look at the original 2002 PlayStation 2 game, and now we're taking a look at the sequel, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, also known as Ratchet and Clank 2 Lock and Loaded in Australia and PAL countries, or just simply Ratchet and Clank 2, was released on November 11th, 2003 here in North America, 10 days later in Europe, Australia, and finally December 11th, 2003 in Japan. The main plot of Ratchet and Clank 2 is that it follows Ratchet and Clank, joined by a newcomer, Angela Cross, voiced by Kate Susi. Apologies if I mispronounced her name, as they attempt to unravel a conspiracy behind a mysterious pet project orchestrated by the shadowy Megacorp Company. Our galactic duo were employed by Abercrombie Fizzwidget, who is voiced by Jim Ward, who is also the CEO of Megacorp, who also recruits the duo to take down a thief who stole the Protopet. The thief also hired a mercenary group called Thugs for Less to protect the thief until they finally are confronted on Siberius. Gee, a bit of a play on word on Siberia, eh? Now, while the thief did escape during the Siberius fight, Ratchet, who is now voiced by the more iconic James Arnold Taylor, manages to reclaim the experiment and contact Fizzwidget with the good news. Afterwards, Fizzwidget accidentally ejects the duo to a desert wasteland planet where we also run into the thief, who is actually Angela, who used to work for Megacorp as the scientist. Afterwards, we then team up with Angela, and after a few levels, we learn that she has been captured by the Thugs for Less boss, who is voiced by Stephen Blum, who him and the rest of the thugs now work for Megacorp. Now we have to head to the worst level in the entire franchise. I mean, holy fuck! If there isn't a word for the worst level in video game history, with the worst difficulty spike, Going Commando will get that thing at least top 3. Snivelac is filled, and I mean filled to the brim with thug troops and tanks, which, if you haven't upgraded any of your heavy-hitting weapons, will mop the floor with your blood. And just to add the cherry on this otherwise shit-tastic Sunday that is Snivelac, the boss fight is a fucking bore fest. And like what Val4XD said in his Everything Wrong with Ratchet and Clank Going Commando video, is pretty much a 10-minute long turret section. If by some miracle you manage to acquire the bouncer, make sure you got that thing to the heavy bouncer with all sorts of mods on it. Anyways, we rescue Angela and we head to the final planet, Yedo? Okay, I'm gonna call it Yedo since that sounds more correct. We get to Fizzwidget, and it's actually Captain Quark. Stupidly made the original Protopet into some sort of gigantic beast that devours Quark in whole. So we sling, or if you're using a long-range weapon, you can try to whittle its health down and save Quark's life, as well as Bogon. So that's pretty much the story of Going Commando. Overall, it's not that bad. Outside of Snivelac, the worlds we travel to are honestly pretty magnificent for something that was released back in 2003 for the PlayStation 2. But, how does that gameplay hold up? The gameplay of Going Commando is basically the same as the original, but there is only one major difference. You see that red bar over there? You see, in 2003, with an interview of Brian Hastings, who is Insomniac's vice president of programming, he stated that Going Commando wanted to have a few big ideas in it. In this game's case, it's the form of RPG-like elements such as weapon upgrades and health upgrades. But we also do have space combat in the form of dogfights, which, let's be honest, really aren't that good. But they get better into other games that I will be getting to hopefully very soon. We also have a few spherical planets to go do for some side objectives. So overall, with these new gameplay ideas, outside of the space combat, Going Commando honestly packs more than the original Ratchet and Clank. Okay, so I didn't come up with a script for this part, so this is completely unscripted. But as you can see, I already have the maximum amount of armor, well, the final armor you can actually have in the game. That is actually mostly because there's armor upgrades that you can purchase. And as you can see in the corner, sorry if the footage looks shit, but there's basically like a times 15 multiplier. That's basically because challenge mode actually lets us get bolts rather more easy compared to the original Ratchet and Clank game. You see, every time when you defeat an enemy, that multiplier goes up. I think the max is, I want to say, 20? Yeah, it's definitely 20. So yeah, you could get bolts more easier in this game compared to the original Ratchet and Clank, which makes it a hell of a lot easier if you just want to get that 1 million bolts trophy, which yes, I've also 100%ed this game. So, can I still recommend Ratchet and Clank Going Commando? Yeah, I definitely can. With the weapons, the story, and the exploration for hidden goodies makes this game a fairly good 3D platformer. In my opinion, Ratchet and Clank 2 Going Commando / Lock and Loaded gets a score of another 8.5 out of 10. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell to be notified whenever I make a new video. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, GameJoel, that sort of thing. Links are down below as always. Now, I want to hear from you all. Have you played Ratchet and Clank 2 and could you recommend it to a friend? Leave your answers in the comments below. Join me next time where I take a look at one of the very first games I have ever played, Ratchet and Clank 3. Up your arsenal. Oh boy, this is probably going to be the biggest challenge for me to date. Until then, take care, everybody.